This is a meditation story about a time that I went into meditation praying to Lord Shiva. This was a few years ago when I was very, very focused on praying to Lord Shiva. And I went into meditation and ended up being pulled into a dimension where Lord Shiva actually was. Now, I'd like to show you a traditional image of Shiva. This is a traditional, physical, human rendered image of Shiva. He often has his hair like that, and that kind of bun on top of his head with the crescent moon there next to it, and the trident, and Nandi, I think the name of the divine cow is, that's often with him. He's often got tiger skins on and that lei of flowers. But in the dimension where I saw Shiva, he did not have all of this fancy adornment on. He actually looked very plain. So here's what happened. I went into the meditation with the intention of trying to reach Lord Shiva, and I was really requesting, as I have in the past, for his attention somehow. And I asked him to give me some inkling that he was aware of me and that perhaps my yoga practice was being registered by someone in the higher ups, meaning, supernatural beings who pay attention to the human beings who are practicing yoga. And in the past, the times that I became indirectly aware of Lord Shiva's presence in my life was during postural adjustments, meaning when I was doing the yoga exercises, the asana, stretches. Upon praying to him for help, occasionally his energy would very clearly enter into the asana or kriya, the posture or mystic exercise I was doing, and adjust it perfectly from within me. I also had a non-physical abstract vision of Shiva while practicing sun gazing, and I created an illustration of it on Illustrator, in Illustrator, the program, and it's on the back of my Kundalini Yoga Home Practice book and the sun gazing book. But in this meditation, there was a deeper need in my reaching toward these higher beings that Patanjali tells us, instructs us to focus on, these higher energies. So here's what happened. My consciousness shifted into another environment, and it was a large, dark, but clear environment. And I saw sitting in easy pose or sukhasana Lord Shiva. And like I said, he was very plainly dressed. There was no adornments whatsoever, just kind of a sheath-like dark burgundy cloth around him. His hair was long and brown, and there was no tiger skins, like I said, or any kind of adornment. He was just seated and very large. Sitting in front of Lord Shiva in this environment was my teacher, Michael Beloved, who was in the body of a young boy in like miniaturized form. So my teacher next to Lord Shiva was about the size of a child next to the Lincoln Monument. I was not the size of a child, though, in this environment. Next to Michael, I was very small, like the size of a bug. So Lincoln Monument size Shiva, child size next to that, Michael, and then bug size next to him, me. So it was the three of us in a row, biggest to smallest. There was another person present, a person who was associated with Michael and was seated next to Michael. But I was aware that this person was transparent and invisible to Lord Shiva. Shiva seemed unaware of this person's presence. That doesn't mean that he wasn't aware. He just seemed to me to be unaware, but made it clear to me psychically that he was very aware of Michael, my teacher, and that he had significance to him. Lord Shiva gave me a hint that he was aware of me, and that I wasn't invisible, but that I had much work to continue doing before I could grow in size to be of significance. He said, keep going, and you will grow, and you will get the attention you seem to want. Right now, you are too little for me to bother with much. Look at your teacher. Look at all he's done. He is here with us like this. That was the last sentence that he conveyed to me. He is here with us like this, meaning that Michael is there with them like they are, meaning that he is significant enough and a supernatural being, and he is able to be there with them. That's what I interpret that as. He is here with us like this. So let me also just interject here that Shiva is also very important to people who do yoga because he is the master of yoga in this universe. We learn yoga from Lord Shiva in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. And really, honestly, if we had to just depend on the Yoga Sutras and the Bhagavad Gita as our other two primary source texts on yoga, we would be somewhat lost. We have to have that instructional manual that is the Hatha Yoga Pradipika to really understand how to execute these asana, how to execute the pranayama, how to execute these kriyas, these mystic practices that are detailed and complicated, and how to execute a proper yogic meditation. Stages 6, 7, and 8 of Patanjali's practice are the same meditation course of practice that is detailed in the Pradipika by Swatmarama, but given to him from Lord Shiva. So what else is there to do while we make a living and feed ourselves in this petri dish called Earth, but to reach out and to reach up toward the divine, toward these supernatural beings that with enough meditation, yogic meditation, non-new agey, non-visualizing, non-trying to manifest things in the earthly realm, but real meditation where those faculties of the mind, the thinking, the remembering, the analyzing, and the reacting, all of those things have to be shut down. And you're left with just the self and its reaching for supernatural understanding and divine beings and association. So that's my story about seeing Lord Shiva. And it's interesting to me because recently I just overheard a lesson that my teacher was giving to somebody, and it had to do with Lord Shiva, and he was talking about how, and I hadn't heard this before, I had wondered why Lord Shiva wasn't adorned in this place where I saw him. And I overheard him saying that not in all of the astral environments where Shiva is, and there's multiple Shivas, it's not just one, there's multiple Shivas, that he's not always adorned, that the adornment is often something that, we do as human beings in our image making of these deities. This is how we feel about them, and this is how we should feel about them, to adorn them and present them with gifts and make them look and seem divine because they are. But in these realms, they're not always like that. They don't always have decoration on. Maybe it's sort of like we are. Sometimes we're all decorated up, but we're also just at home with nothing on, no makeup, no hair, no special outfit or anything. So anyway, if you have any questions or comments about Lord Shiva or divine association or astral projection or anything like that, please share in the comments. Thanks for listening.